Vivian, my wife, who hated anything even remotely related to physical activity, had recently fallen in love with yoga. She said it with a grin, "Isn't this great for you too? I do yoga, and you get to reap the benefits." Of course, I supported her newfound interest. I mean, how could I not? That was until the day I swung by to pick her up from class, and saw what kind of yoga she was really practicing. Through the glass door of the studio, I stood frozen. Vivian and her yoga instructor were entangled in a pose that looked far too intimate to be part of any regular flow. The breath left my body. I had no idea her yoga teacher was a man. Back when she first brought up the idea, I only gave a half-hearted objection. Vivian had never been one to work out, she'd whine about a 10-minute walk, let alone downward dog. But then she added, "Yoga improves your sex life. I'm doing this for us." That shut me up real quick. I even encouraged her. I just assumed, wrongly, it turns out, that she'd be training with a woman. Now here I was, staring at my wife twisting and bending with some guy in a dimly lit room, their bodies a little too close, their breath too in sync. Rage boiled up in my chest before I even realized I was clenching my fists. Just as I was about to push open the door and put a stop to it, Vivian's foot slipped. She stumbled, right into the yoga instructor's arms. And then, unbelievably, she gave his chiseled chest a playful little punch. "You did that on purpose," she pouted. Marcus smirked, clearly pleased with himself. Vivian stood up and pointed at him, her voice half accusation, half tease. "Tell me, how many women have you used this move on?" I stood there, paralyzed. My heart dropped straight into my gut. She wasn't mad. She was flirting. Flirting, right after falling into another man's arms. My whole body went cold. The kind of cold that starts at the scalp and sinks down your spine. My fists clenched so tightly I could feel my nails pressing into skin. Then Marcus did the unthinkable, he wrapped his arms around her again. "Vivian," he said, almost mockingly gentle. "This is my job. I gotta make a living somehow." Vivian pouted, lips pursed, feigning outrage. "Filthy. Next time, don't think you can just slip in without protection." I had no words for what I was feeling anymore. No language for that kind of fury. I looked around, scanning for something, anything, I could use to beat the living hell out of the two of them. But then a thought stopped me cold. If I stormed in now, what would happen? A shouting match. A fistfight. A divorce. And wouldn't that be too easy? Wouldn't that be exactly what they wanted? I swallowed the rage clawing at my throat and forced my voice steady as I dialed Vivian's number. "Hey, babe. You done with class?" Her voice came through light and cheerful. "Just about. Oh, by the way, sweetheart, a distant relative of mine happens to be in Harbor City tonight. I thought I'd take him out for dinner." As she said this, she cast a mischievous glance toward the yoga instructor standing beside her. The guy's expression shifted instantly, caught off guard, stiff, and vaguely embarrassed. Like someone who'd just had his secret exposed mid-scene. He pointed to himself, as if to ask, "Me?" Vivian nodded with a smile and put a finger to her lips, "Shoo." Then she turned back to the phone and continued sweetly, "Honey, can you make a few extra dishes tonight? And wine, don't forget the wine," the instructor mouthed at her. Vivian didn't miss a beat. "Oh. And pick up 2 nice bottles of wine, will you?" I let out a dry laugh, the kind that tastes like blood at the back of your throat. So that's how they want to play it? Bring him to my house? Sit at my dinner table like I'm the fool? Perfect. With a voice like chilled syrup, I said, "Sure. I'll take care of it." Then I hung up and headed straight for the nearest grocery store. 2 bottles of wine, just like she asked. Except in one of them, I poured in nearly half a bottle of water, diluting the alcohol down to near nothing. A bottle of useless, gutless wine. The second one? I laced it with medical-grade rubbing alcohol. That one was for her dear private instructor, so fond of wine, wasn't he? I'd give them real wine tonight. After that, I picked up a few heat-and-eat trays, pre-cooked meat, soggy vegetables, microwave dinners. They wanted dinner at my place? Sorry, Vivian. If you ever dreamed of tasting another meal cooked by my hands, let me break it to you now, that dream dies tonight. Let's see how long you two can keep up the act, before I make it a nightmare. Around 6:30 that evening, Vivian walked in with her so-called distant relative in tow. The man knew how to play the part. He brought along a grocery bag with some heavily discounted apples, clearly trying to put on a good guest act. Ethan, Vivian said, her voice sugar-sweet, this is Marcus. I smiled, took the bag from him, and set it on the table with a casual flick of the wrist. Oh come on, you didn't have to bring anything. We don't exactly live off handouts around here. They both stiffened for a beat, Vivian and Marcus, their smiles faltering. Like they weren't sure if I was joking, or if I just casually slapped them in the face. I gestured for Marcus to have a seat on the couch and poured him a glass of iced water. So, Marcus, what brings you all the way from Miami to Harbor City? Something special going on? He froze. His eyes darted to Vivian like a student caught cheating mid-exam, clearly unsure how to respond. Vivian jumped in fast, flashing a bright, deflective smile. Ethan, don't grill the poor guy. He's just traveling, taking it easy, no big agenda. I nodded slowly, feigning sincerity. Oh right, totally. It's just. I remember you once told me Marcus lost both his parents pretty young. I assumed maybe this trip was to visit their graves or something. Pfft. Marcus nearly choked on his water, barely managing to keep from spitting it across the room. What's wrong? I asked innocently. Did I get something wrong? His face twitched, jaw tightening as he nodded stiffly. Yeah. I actually stopped by earlier. Took care of it. Oh right, I said, casually twisting the knife. And didn't you also say his sister got into some legal trouble a while back? What happened with that, did it get sorted? Marcus jerked his head up, eyes wide with confusion. Vivian jumped in fast, panic barely hidden behind her voice. Ethan, I think you're mixing things up. I cocked an eyebrow. Really? You told me that yourself, didn't you? She froze for a split second, then forced a smile that looked like it hurt her face. I meant a different relative. Not this one. Oh, I said with mock understanding, nodding along. Got it. Marcus, don't take it the wrong way. Totally Vivian's fault for not clarifying. Marcus looked like he'd just swallowed a brick. His expression had gone full iron gray, but he still managed to squeeze out. No worries. He shifted gears fast. So, how's dinner coming? It's not every day we get to hang out like this. Gotta pour a drink, right? I didn't miss a beat. Absolutely. Let's eat. I led them into the kitchen. Vivian's eyes widened the moment she saw the spread. Normally, I'm a stickler for fresh ingredients, no frozen dinners, no shortcuts. So the sudden appearance of pre-packaged entrees and microwave sides must have hit her like a glitch in the Matrix. Wow, she blinked. You really went all out. I offered a thin smile. Well, Marcus came all the way out here. Gotta treat him right, don't we? Come on, have a seat, make yourself at home. Marcus took the chair across from me. I poured him a generous glass of bourbon, the one from the bottle I'd customized just for him. Vivian reached for the other bottle, eager to fill my glass too. I waved her off. Tonight we each get our own bottle. Keeps things fair. I cracked open my own bottle, the one watered down to the point of uselessness, and filled my glass to the brim. You always need a bit of ceremony for the first round. So I raised my glass and, with a casual flair, pulled out my phone. "Vivian, come on, let's take a picture with Marcus. I'll print it out later and hang it right here at home." Vivian and Marcus laughed, too quickly, too loudly. But I saw right through it. That flicker of guilt in their smiles? Clear as day. Hell, there probably wasn't another man in the entire country volunteering to take a photo with the guy sleeping with his wife. Vivian leaned in, whispering, "Ethan, it's recording, not a photo." "I know," I said smoothly. "Video gives you more natural frames. No need to keep posing over and over." And they believed me. They actually believed me. Both of them leaned in obediently, smiling like we were just some happy trio on a regular night. I raised my voice, smiling into the camera. "So, is Marcus the man of the hour tonight?" "Yes," they shouted in unison, grinning hard, drunk on their little secret. To them, it was just a dumb dinner table joke. But to me, those few seconds were already ironclad evidence, damning in its irony, priceless in its subtlety. Once the video was saved, it was time for drinks. I took a full swig of my glass, barely felt a thing. Like drinking flavored water. Marcus, on the other hand, barely took a sip before shivering like he'd licked a battery. "This whiskey," he murmured, frowning. Confused. I kept a straight face. "What about it?" "That bottle cost over $1,000. The moment I said it, you could see the tension ease from his face. He forced a smile, nodding. "Nice. Yeah, no, it's good. Just, has kind of a hospital disinfectant vibe." Round after round, I kept pouring. By the time he was halfway through the bottle, Marcus was slurring every other word, swaying in his chair like a buoy in a storm. I played along. Slumped in my seat, eyes half shut, like I was right there with him, on the verge of blacking out. That's when Vivian suddenly spoke up. "Sweetheart, there's something I've been meaning to tell you, but I wasn't sure how." I gave her my best poker face. "It's okay, Vivian. Just say it." She hesitated, just long enough to make it feel rehearsed, then said. "Marcus has been going through a rough time lately. That's actually why he came here. He needed help." She turned to him with a gentle nudge. "Right, Marcus?" Marcus blinked like he'd missed his cue, then kicked into character with the grace of a high school drama student. Yeah, it's true. Things haven't been great. I didn't know where else to go. Vivian was the only one I could think of." He even made his eyes glisten, like he was really feeling it. Maybe he was. Maybe the guy actually started believing his own performance. So this was it, huh? Vivian setting up a heartfelt backstory so I'd open my wallet and bankroll her boy toy's redemption arc? She pressed on, her voice softening. "Marcus has always been good to me. He even saved my life once when we were kids." "We were 7, she said, locking eyes with me, playing by the river. I slipped on some rocks and fell in. I almost drowned. Marcus jumped in without thinking, pulled me out. Well then," I said before she could get another word in, "I owe him a debt of gratitude. I'll help him out, for sure. Tomorrow, I'll find him a job." I cut her off fast. Her story was so poorly delivered, I was afraid she'd mess it up if I let her keep talking. But the second I said the word job, both of them panicked. Marcus stiffened, but it was Vivian who really sprang into action. "No, babe, you misunderstood. Marcus isn't looking for work right now. He just needs a bit of cash. A loan. To get back on his feet. He used to be in business," she added quickly, as if that made it more legitimate. "Super successful. He just hit a rough patch recently. Look at his clothes, they're all designer. He's not some bum." "Oh, I see," I said slowly, eyes locked on Marcus. "So, how much is Marcus hoping to borrow?" Vivian shot him a quick glance, subtle but obvious, a signal. Marcus clenched his jaw and said it in one breath. 300,000. Vivian's face immediately dropped. Wait, was she disappointed? Did she think he asked for too little? Unbelievable. The nerve of this freeloading bastard. Does he have any idea how hard I work for every dollar that comes through this door? These days I'm lucky to clear 10 grand a month. But back then? Back when Vivian and I had just gotten married, and she couldn't stop chasing shiny things to keep up with her so-called friends? I nearly killed myself trying to keep up with her lifestyle. At one point, I took on a job I never told her about, 3 brutal months as a deep-sea salvage diver, recovering sunken equipment around offshore drilling rigs. It was a death sentence disguised as a paycheck. If you made it back alive, you earned 10 grand per dive cycle. But if something went wrong? The insurance payout to your next of kin was a hell of a lot more. There were times I came this close to dying down there. The pressure nearly crushed my lungs. I surfaced with blood in my ears, coughing saltwater, my body frozen and screaming, but I kept going. And on the insurance form, where it asked for the beneficiary, I still wrote her name. Vivian. And now? This is how she repays me. Sweetheart, she said, practically bouncing in her seat, what do you think? I leaned back in my chair, squinting like I was drunk off my ass and grinning like a fool. 300 grand? That's not nearly enough to stage a comeback. I paused for effect. I'll put in $1 million. The room froze. They looked at me like I'd just dropped a bomb, stunned, wide-eyed, barely breathing. Then the shock melted into something else. Excitement. Vivian, especially. Her face lit up like she'd just won the goddamn lottery. Vivian looked stunned, like she genuinely hadn't expected I had that kind of money lying around. But before she could start celebrating, I poured a bucket of cold water right over her fantasy. Only thing is, I said with a shrug, I don't have that much in liquid cash at the moment. I paused, then casually added. But I've got a friend in the lending business. Really low interest. Practically free money. For folks like us. I continued, grinning. Getting approved for $500,000 each is no big deal. I can take out $500,000 under my name. And Vivian, you can apply for the other half. Boom. That's your $1 million right there. The air shifted. Their smiles faltered. Not gone, but thinner now. Hesitant. Not surprise anymore. Disappointment. Marcus muttered under his breath. Loans, aren't those kinda risky? I leaned in like I was sharing a secret, voice low and confident. Risky? Marcus, come on. The guy's like my blood brother, we grew up sharing diapers. I'm not exaggerating. If you can't pay it back, he won't come knocking. He's solid. Hell, I'll co-sign it myself if it makes you feel better. Anyone who's ever taken out a serious loan knows what that means. If the borrower defaults, the co-signer takes the full hit. And Marcus? He lit up like someone just turned the oxygen back on. All right, he said quickly, like he didn't want to seem too eager. Vivian's lips curled into a smile too, slow and measured, like she was already mentally spending the money. I smiled right along with them. Big, warm, sincere. The fish had taken the bait. With the important stuff out of the way, Marcus turned into a one-man drinking machine, insisting on round after round, pushing my glass toward me like we were frat brothers at a reunion. He could hold his liquor, I'll give him that. He drained nearly the whole bottle before finally tipping over in his seat like a chopped-down tree. I helped drag him to the guest room and dumped him on the bed. I was cleaning up the dishes when Vivian appeared behind me, swaying just slightly. Babe. I feel kinda dizzy. I think I need to lie down. Of course she did. She had no idea I'd crushed a couple sleeping pills into her drink earlier. Go ahead, I said, gently. Get some rest. Once I was sure they were both out cold, I moved quietly. I slipped into our bedroom and found Vivian's phone charging by the nightstand. Didn't take long. I opened her messaging app and scrolled straight into hell. Every thread with Marcus was there, explicit, raw, and impossible to mistake. They'd hooked up the same day she joined that yoga class. That night, they were already in a hotel room. Over the following weeks, it became routine. Vivian sending seductive photos, lingerie, bathroom selfies, suggestive poses. Marcus responded in kind. Shirtless, flexing, showing off his abs and thighs like a discount fitness influencer. There were hotel room numbers too. Dozens of them. Vivian handing them over like loyalty cards. They'd met up at least 10 times that month. Yoga? She wasn't doing it for me. The only one getting stretched and satisfied was Marcus. I gritted my teeth, heart pounding, and started screenshotting everything. Every message, every picture, every reservation. Documented. Saved. Then I stormed, into Vivian's room. She was sprawled out under the sheets, breathing slow, lost in drugged sleep. I raised my hand and slapped her. Once. Twice. 3 times. 4. 5. Her eyes fluttered open, unfocused. What's wrong, baby? I leaned in close and whispered. Nothing. There was a bug. She nodded faintly and drifted back to sleep. I wasn't done. After dealing with Vivian, I headed straight for Marcus's room and gave him the same treatment, harder, this time. But it still wasn't enough. Hitting them while they were half asleep, totally unaware? It didn't feel satisfying. No fear, no shame, no panic in their eyes, just dead weight under my fists. That's when a better idea hit me. Something cruel. Something theatrical. I dragged Marcus's unconscious body out of the guest room and dumped him into our bed, right next to Vivian. After that, I trashed the living room just enough to make things look chaotic. Overturned a lamp, spilled a drink, tossed a blanket on the floor. Then I lay down on the couch, closed my eyes, and waited for morning. At sunrise, I shot up with purpose. Walked back into the bedroom, took a deep breath, and unleashed hell. My palms slammed across their faces like thunderclaps. Over and over. Open-handed, but merciless. This time, they woke up. For real. Vivian screamed. Marcus shot upright, swinging like he thought he was under attack. I pointed straight at him, voice ragged with fury. You bastard. I was about to invest $1 million in you, and this is how you repay me? That stopped him cold. His eyes went wide as it all clicked into place. Vivian froze too, realizing where they were, not some anonymous hotel suite, but my home. And Marcus? Not her secret fling anymore, just a relative, caught in the most compromising place imaginable. Then came the twist. To protect the money, my promised million, Vivian turned on him. She slapped Marcus across the face with a practiced shriek. Marcus! How could you? She yanked back the covers, glanced down at her own body like she was shocked to find herself exposed. You took advantage of me. Marcus looked stricken. I don't know what happened. I was drunk. I blacked out. I swear I didn't mean to, Vivian, Ethan, please, let me explain. He gestured down at himself, desperate. Look at my clothes. I didn't even take anything off. Nothing happened. I stood there, glaring at them. Let them squirm. Let them lie. Let them beg. After a long pause, I gave a heavy, theatrical sigh and waved my hand like I was too tired to stay angry. Maybe Maybe we all just drank too much, I muttered. Hell, I passed out on the couch myself. Let's just let it go. Vivian and Marcus both looked relieved, like prisoners who just convinced the warden to let them off with a warning. After breakfast, Marcus didn't waste a second. He slipped out of the house with his head low, his face swollen like a bruised peach. Once the door shut behind him, Vivian turned to me with a gentle tone, too gentle. Babe, next time we can't drink like that again, okay? I smiled faintly. Yeah. One more night like that and someone's gonna get hurt. Vivian gave a nervous laugh, then leaned in like she was shifting to business. So, about Marcus. The money. I didn't flinch. Of course. The investment still stands. Honestly, I think the guy has real potential. If it works out, we could even make a nice return off it. Vivian lit up. She didn't even try to hide it anymore. Her smile stretched all the way across her face. Before I knew it, she was pulling me toward the door. Come on, let's go get that loan. And why not? I hadn't been lying, after all, I did have a friend in the lending game. A real one. Darryl Brooks. We'd been thick as thieves since grade school. I'd already messaged him the night before. Told him everything. Told him I needed his help. Told him I'd just found out I'd been played hard, and now I was going to make sure they paid for it. Darryl didn't even hesitate. He replied within seconds, furious on my behalf. Say less, he wrote. I'll handle it. I gave him the plan. Refuse me the loan, claim there's a credit issue. Let Vivian and Marcus apply instead. Convince them they still need a cosigner. Have them sign the papers. But quietly remove my name from everything. Any real loan shark knows the dance. I didn't need to explain how to manipulate a contract. Darryl could do it in his sleep. He knew what this was. Not just business. Retribution. Marcus showed up at the loan office just as we arrived. When Darryl broke the news about my credit issue, Vivian blinked in disbelief. What? But babe, you've never even taken out a loan before, how can your credit be bad? I tilted my head, playing it up, eyebrows knitting like I was just as confused. Huh, that's weird. I've always paid everything on time. Darryl didn't miss a beat. He leaned in, lowering his voice like he was revealing a shameful little secret. Well, technically, it's not the credit score, it's a system flag. Says he's got a prior theft record. Happened a few years back. That's what's blocking the approval. Vivian narrowed her eyes at me, suspicion creeping in like smoke. Theft? She said slowly, like she was trying to do the math in her head. When did that happen? Marcus let out a disappointed grunt beside her. So what? That means we're not getting the full $1 million now. I chuckled, acting relaxed. $1 million? That's small potatoes. Look, give me both of your IDs and social security numbers, I'll run a quick check for you. They hesitated, but Greed won out. Vivian passed hers over first. Marcus followed. Darryl tapped a few keys on his keyboard like he was barely trying, just going through the motions. Then, like magic, the system lit up green. He turned the screen toward them with a grin. Looks like the system likes you too. Approved. They leaned in. Each line on the screen gleamed like a ticket to freedom. Your personal credit limits, Darryl said, tapping the numbers for dramatic effect, are each $1.5 million. Vivian's jaw dropped. Marcus stared like he couldn't believe it. Wait, what? Vivian asked. I thought the max was 500 grand. For most people, Darryl replied smoothly. That's true. But Ethan's my guy, we go way back. I've got access to a few alternative channels. Now, to be clear, he added, holding up a hand like a good little bureaucrat, I don't override the system. If the system says no, my hands are tied. But if it says yes. He smiled. I can get creative. I nearly laughed out loud. This man deserved an Oscar. That script? Flawless. How about, we each just borrow 500 grand? Marcus tested the waters, glancing over at Vivian. Vivian nodded almost instantly, no hesitation, no second thoughts. But Daryl jumped in, all businesslike concern. Thing is, the interest on a $500,000 loan is outrageous. You'd be paying way more over time. Honestly, if you go for the full $1.5 million, the rate drops, closer to a mortgage level. Much more manageable. Marcus hesitated. Yeah, but I don't even need that much. And to be fair, who the hell actually does need $1.5 million, just like that? Especially someone with no plan, no collateral, no idea how long the runway actually is. But Daryl didn't let him off the hook. He gave a chuckle and leaned in like an older brother offering life advice. This is what I always say, young guys, always scared of the big play. You've got a guarantor. What are you worried about? You either go big, or you stay small forever. That struck a nerve. Vivian's eyes lit up again, her gears already turning. She nudged Marcus gently with her elbow, voice soft but urgent. Didn't you always say you wanted to open your own gym? This is your chance. Ethan believes in you. Don't hold back. Then she turned to me with an expression so fake it almost made me laugh. Sweetheart, if we really do borrow $3 million, can you handle the pressure? I rubbed my forehead like I was deep in thought. Made her wait. Let the silence build. Then I let out a long sigh. I can handle it, I said, like I was making a sacrifice. Look at Marcus, guy's got presence. He's got vision. I trust his instincts. Then I pointed at him and gave him a smirk. When the money starts rolling in, just don't forget to cut me in on those profits. By this point, Marcus had no way out. He was cornered by his own pride, the energy in the room pushing him forward like a current. His eyes still held a flicker of doubt, but the performance had gone too far. Backing out now would only make him look small. Vivian, meanwhile, was glowing. Completely entranced. A full-blown believer in her lover's potential. Open a gym? Really? In America, gyms shut down faster than they open. Equipment ends up in dusty storage units or sold for pennies on Craigslist. The market's brutal. Half the time, you're just investing in someone else's bad judgment. Which is exactly why I wanted this. Let them burn the money. That's the whole point. If they blew through $3 million and ended up broken, then my plan would be complete. Eventually, Marcus clenched his jaw and signed the papers. One stroke at a time. Silent. Tense. Vivian leaned in beside him and signed her own set, proud, trusting, almost romantic about it. $1.5 million each. When it came time for the guarantor section, both of them stared at me like hawks, barely breathing. Watching every move, waiting to make sure I followed through. I smiled, picked up the pen, and wrote out my name, slow, deliberate. They exhaled in relief. After that, they carefully flipped through every page of the contract again, line by line. Like they were holding a newborn baby. Checking every clause, every term. Only when they were absolutely sure nothing was off did they leave, satisfied, almost giddy. Later, I pulled Daryl aside. Everything good? He grinned. Perfect. Then he showed me the pen I'd used. You see this? He said. Disappearing ink. Takes a couple days, maybe less depending on the humidity. I raised my eyebrows. Why do you think I kept reminding you not to press too hard? He added. Didn't want to leave any indentations on the paper. I could have hugged him. A true professional. Now, the real show was ready to begin. That afternoon, I came home from work and immediately noticed Vivian was gone. Didn't take a genius to guess where she'd gone. I didn't even bother calling her. Because I wasn't guessing anymore. I knew. Last night, while she slept like an angel beside her distant relative, I'd quietly installed a hidden surveillance app on her phone. GPS tracking. Live audio feed. Finding her now? A matter of seconds. She was at a coffee shop across town. I parked a block away, phone in hand, earpiece in place. And sure enough, there she was, sitting across from Marcus, speaking in hushed tones, heads tilted toward each other like they were co-founders of a startup. Only this business was built on betrayal. Vivian, I really think a gym makes the most sense. Gotta stick to what we're good at. Marcus, not worried I'll attract too many hot female clients once I'm the boss. Vivian, please. I just handed you a pile of cash. You even think about cheating, I'll slice off your dick myself. Marcus, damn. You win. Gym it is. But seriously, babe, is your husband actually that dumb? $3 million in loans, just signs off like it's nothing? For someone he barely knows? Vivian didn't even hesitate. Vivian, you don't get it. Ethan's always been soft with me. He agreed, didn't he? If he hadn't, I would have raised hell, and he'd have folded in 2 seconds. He's predictable. The guy's not just dumb, he's addicted to his own loyalty. Always playing the martyr. All because he thinks he loves me. Marcus, I'm starting to feel bad, honestly. Sleeping with a guy like that's wife? Feels cruel. Vivian, please. You can't even keep your pants zipped when a woman walks by. Don't pretend you have a conscience. Marcus, guilt is guilt. Sex is sex. And speaking of which. Vivian, tonight, I want you. Vivian, You know what? This sneaking around, it's kinda hot. That was it. No more rage. No more heartbreak. I didn't feel anything at all. Not anger. Not sadness. Just clarity. I'd worked myself to the bone to give her everything, and in her eyes, that made me pathetic. A doormat. A joke. But this wasn't about saving a marriage anymore. This was about ending a con. And making sure the con artists paid with interest. In that moment, they weren't people to me. They were prey. And I was the one holding the leash. As I watched, Vivian's GPS dot started to move. Headed straight for a hotel. I almost grabbed my keys. Instinct told me to storm in, catch them red-handed, end this charade once and for all. But I stopped myself. $3 million. They hadn't even had the chance to blow through it yet. What if I barged in now and they got scared enough to pay it back? No. I needed this betrayal to run its full course. Then I remembered a certain dark corner of the internet, an underground network of digital voyeurs and revenge artists. There's a subreddit buried under layers of locked threads, and a few even more private Discord servers, where creators make their money off scandals. Affairs. Exposés. Betrayals caught in the act, all for the price of a monthly subscription. Some of them even take requests. Like hitmen with cameras. One name came to mind, Tiger. Notorious. High traffic. High price. I messaged him directly. His response was fast, and expensive. $10,000 for a full capture, video, stills, audio. 24-hour turnaround. No refunds. Perfect. Of course, I had no intention of paying out of pocket. So I called Vivian. Hey babe. Did the money hit the account? Just came through, she chirped. Daryl works fast. You should take him out for dinner or something, say thank you. Oh, we're together right now, actually, I said. Problem is, I haven't been paid yet. Kind of tight on cash. I let that hang a beat. Mind sending me 10 grand to play with? I'll pay you back first thing. She didn't even blink. Sure. Sending it now. Love you. A few seconds later, the funds landed in my account. She'd practically financed her own exposure. With her phone bugged, it was easy to track her call to the hotel's front desk. A quick search, a fake booking inquiry, and just like that, I had their room number. Tiger was already en route. Tonight, the curtain rises. I dropped the details to Tiger immediately, hotel name, floor, room number, then pinged the Discord channel with a single line. Got a job. Room confirmed. Going hot. The chat exploded. The thread lit up like wildfire, laughing emojis, popcorn gifs, fire reactions flying in every direction. Even Tiger chimed in on main. Now this is content. I'm in. He followed up in my DMs for final confirmation. I sent him the exact address. And just like that, I wasn't a husband anymore. I was just another anonymous spectator, eyes glued to a live feed, waiting for the show to begin. Tiger loaded up his gear. GoPro on the chest mount. Backup cam on a gimbal. He climbed into his car, the stream rolling as the chat roared encouragement. I messaged him a reminder. Get everything. Clear angles. Solid proof. He replied. Come on, man. I do this for a living. Then added. Any extra requests? I paused. Actually, yeah. I did. Say this when you burst in. Marcus, how could you do this to my sister? I'm gonna make sure the whole world sees what you two sick bastards did. It was the perfect twist. Marcus was a known womanizer. If this ever went public, that one line would bury him under the worst assumptions. The narrative would write itself. Nobody would ever trace it back to me. Soon, Tiger reached the hotel. The stream showed him striding through the lobby, past the front desk, eyes fixed forward. Up the elevator. Down the hallway. He stopped outside the room. The live chat flooded again. Do it. Let's go. It's showtime. He glanced around, cool as ever, and intercepted a housekeeping cart coming down the corridor. Quick sleight of hand. He grabbed a master keycard like it was nothing. One swipe. A soft green light. Click. He didn't hesitate. Bang. The door flew open. And the scene was live. The moment the door burst open, chaos erupted on screen. Marcus and Vivian scrambled like startled animals, diving under the sheets in a flurry of limbs and panic. They clearly thought hotel security had caught them mid-act. Marcus's voice cracked with fear. Who the hell are you? Tiger didn't answer. Instead, he grabbed a half-finished iced latte off the nearby table and flung it in Marcus's face, ice, coffee, everything. Then he yanked Marcus up by the collar, his voice seething. You bastard! How could you do this to my sister? Marcus froze, dripping, blinking hard. Your sister? Who the hell is your sister? Tiger sneered. Don't play dumb. Just wait, till the whole internet sees what you two are up to. The live stream chat exploded. Bro, this is next level. That coffee throw was art. Get the close-up. Zoom in. On my end of the screen, I leaned back in my chair, completely still, watching it all unfold like a show I'd produced myself. And I recorded every second of it. After the confrontation, when the door finally slammed shut behind Tiger, the audio feed, still hot from Vivian's bugged phone, picked up the aftermath with crystal clarity. Vivian was on the verge of tears. Who was that guy? Marcus, what the hell did you do? Whose sister did you screw? Marcus wiped coffee from his face, panicked and breathless. I don't know. I swear, it's just been you. I haven't touched anyone else. Vivian's voice trembled. What if that video goes viral? What if Ethan sees it? We're done if he does. Marcus didn't even blink. He let out a cold, bitter laugh. Then let him. Vivian stared at him, stunned. If your husband finds out and divorces you, we're finally free. We won't have to sneak around anymore. Silence. A thick, dead silence settled over the room. Vivian said nothing. Just the sound of a towel dropping and the hum of the air conditioner filled the void. Even through the screen, I could sense it, Vivian's hesitation. That slight waver in her voice. A crack in her certainty. And then it came. Soft. Measured. But we need to start moving the money out of the house. Fast. Marcus didn't miss a beat. Exactly. Asset transfers. And we need to lock down that gym property. Before Ethan even thinks of pushing back. I almost laughed. They were digging their own graves with gold-plated shovels. The faster they burned through the $3 million loan, the closer I got to the finish line. Over the next 2 weeks, Vivian turned into a ghost. She'd leave early, come back late. Always with some excuse, some half-hearted smile. Couldn't hold eye contact to save her life. She had no idea her entire life was under surveillance. Every whisper, every wire transfer, every receipt, mine. They signed a lease on a penthouse in the heart of downtown. The kind of place influencers shoot fake rise and grind videos in. They went all in, designer renovations, top-tier gym equipment, neon signage, digital marketing consultants. The works. But they'd miscalculated, badly. $3 million didn't stretch as far as they thought. The penthouse was only half built. A third of the equipment never arrived. Whole corners of the space sat empty like a forgotten dream. And just when they realized they were bleeding money, they turned back to the guy they thought was still in the dark. Me. Like I was some dumb, loyal mule who'd keep pulling the cart no matter how many times they cracked the whip. They asked if I could co-sign another loan. Just a small one. I played my part. Told them what Daryl and I had rehearsed. The last loan stretched us to the edge. Each of you got $1.5 million, that was a huge favor. I'm already pushing it. Vivian looked worried. But Marcus? Marcus tried to flex. He leaned forward, casual as hell, and said. What if we cut you in on 10 grand? Just for making the call. I almost burst out laughing. $10,000. They'd already blown through 3 million, and now they thought 10 grand would buy my signature? They were flying so high they'd forgotten gravity existed. Still, I nodded. All right, I said. I'll talk to him. And wouldn't you know it? Just a few days later, they each signed for another $500,000 in loans. Now they owed a combined $4 million, and every cent of it was tied to dreams built on betrayal. I watched the documents come through. Smiled. And whispered, beautiful. I gave them a silent thumbs up from the shadows. Then, during their soft opening weekend, I paid a visit to the gym they'd poured millions into. And to be fair, it looked good. Slick equipment. Polished floors. LED lighting. Sleek branding. Money could, in fact, buy taste, at least at a surface level. What it couldn't buy was people. The place was nearly empty. Just a scattering of women wandering around the machines, clearly not members. If I had to guess, they were Marcus's side flings. Loyal followers of his biceps and bedtime routines. When they showed up, Vivian's expression tightened like a fist. She didn't say a word, but I caught her pinching Marcus's side more than once when he got too friendly. Jealousy written all over her. Say what you will, Vivian may be manipulative, but damn if she wasn't invested. Ethan, Marcus said to me, trying to keep his tone light, we should grab dinner tonight. Get your take on the gym, maybe some feedback. I nodded. Sure. Then added with a grin. But let's bring those ladies too. The more the merrier, right? Help warm up the atmosphere. Marcus stiffened like I'd slapped him with a protein shake. Vivian narrowed her eyes. Honey, why would you suggest that? Those girls are just Marcus's friends. Are you suspicious of something? I kept my tone perfectly neutral. Of course not, Viv. They helped out during soft launch, just trying to be polite. We were speaking low, just the three of us. The women were chatting in another corner, completely unaware. Vivian kept her distance from Marcus while I was around, putting on a good wife act, for now, and Marcus followed her lead. Which was exactly what I needed. None of the women knew about each other. None of them knew who Vivian really was to Marcus. And that gave me the perfect opportunity. I wasn't just planning to expose an affair. I was scripting a collision. The kind of scene that makes people forget to blink. The kind that ends stories with silence. At this point, Marcus had no room left to wiggle. The women were all eager, chatting and laughing. And Marcus? He knew he couldn't say no, not with me, the biggest investor in the room, calling the shots. So I made the reservation myself. 5-star hotel. Private dining suite. No cutting corners tonight. We were a party of 8, and I made sure the table was fully loaded, course after course, bottle after bottle. The kind of meal that easily runs into 5 figures. Because if I was going to burn this house down, I wanted the fire to smell like money. The wine flowed freely. Champagne, whiskey, cocktails. Everyone loosened up, just enough. The women started side-eyeing each other. Sneaking glances. Holding smiles a little too long. Like they were all circling the same unspoken thought, waiting for someone else to say it first. Marcus, to his credit, tried to control the conversation. He stuck to business, talking about gym memberships, renovations, new equipment shipments. Avoiding anything remotely personal. But I wasn't here to protect him. I was here to finish this. So I leaned forward, swirled my glass, and dropped it like a mic. Hey Vivian, just out of curiosity, which one of these lovely ladies is Marcus dating? The table fell silent. Hard silent. Even the waitstaff froze in their tracks. Vivian's face tightened, her mouth opening before she even knew what to say. How would I know? Marcus? Go ahead, tell them. Marcus looked like he'd swallowed a mouthful of glass. His smile twitched, struggled, and finally landed somewhere between apology and denial. I'm not. I'm not seeing anyone. Right now. And there it was. The bomb had dropped. But the real explosion? Still counting down. Before Marcus could even exhale, the first strike landed. A woman in her early 30s, flushed cheeks, eyes burning, slammed her palm against the table and shot to her feet. Marcus, what the hell do you mean you're not seeing anyone? She snapped. We've been together practically every day for months. And now I'm no one. What does that make me, your side piece? The table went stone still. Then came the second voice, cooler, but razor sharp. Oh, so she's the girlfriend, another woman cut in, leaning forward, arms crossed. Then what am I to you, Marcus? A backup? A spare? I knew this was coming. I'd seen it in their eyes from the beginning. Two women circling each other for weeks, suspicion simmering like oil over flame. And now, ignition. The other women at the table didn't jump in. Not yet. They wore half-smiles and raised brows, quietly sipping their drinks like theatergoers at a live meltdown. They were never emotionally invested. Marcus was a casual pastime to them, a toy, not a man. Marcus, realizing he was cornered, tried to throw water on the blaze. Ladies, please. Just relax, okay? It's not what it looks like. It's complicated, and I promise I'll explain everything, just not here. Let's just eat, alright? We'll talk after dinner. Wrong move. Way too late. The first woman grabbed her cocktail and, without hesitation, threw it in his face. Glass clinked, liquid splashed, and Marcus recoiled, drenched and stunned. You think you can play me? She snarled. I'm not some fool who paid for your protein shakes and hotel rooms for nothing. Before he could wipe the drink from his eyes, the second woman followed suit. She calmly poured her water straight into his lap. Liar, she said. Coward. You're disgusting. The floodgates opened. Voices rose. Accusations flew. One after another, the women stood up, firing verbal bullets with perfect aim. You're a con artist in gym clothes. You begged me for cash, what, were you using it to impress her? Do you even know our names, or do you just save us by city? Marcus shrank with every word. There was no saving face. No salvaging the dinner. No escape. I sat quietly in the corner of the chaos, slowly sipping my wine. Watching the man who stole my wife, leveraged my name, and blew through $4 million. Get publicly, thoroughly, and righteously destroyed. And the best part? I hadn't even gotten up from my seat yet. Vivian, sensing the dinner spiraling into disaster, rushed in to rescue Marcus. She stepped between him and the women, hands raised in defense. Everyone, please, calm down. This is all a misunderstanding, Marcus didn't mean. But it was too late. The fire had already jumped. One woman cut her off with a dry, mocking laugh. Oh, you're defending him now? That's rich. Aren't you the one who's been sleeping with him the longest? Another chimed in, voice sharp as broken glass. You knew he was juggling half the damn city and still stuck around? What, you like being one of the many? Vivian opened her mouth to speak, but no one was listening anymore. The insults flew freely. Accusations collided midair. The entire table had turned on her. Even the restaurant staff had noticed, servers rushing in, trying to calm the shouting, pleading with guests to lower their voices. I remained seated. Calm. Composed. And then, just as the chaos reached its peak, I set my wine glass down and said, clearly, for all to hear. Marcus, you've really outdone yourself. Even Vivian got caught in your net. I paused, let the silence take hold. Tell me, what is she to you, exactly? The table fell still. No more shouting. No more wine glasses clinking. Just that question hanging in the air like smoke. Vivian opened her mouth, desperate to respond. But everything she said now sounded thin. Hollow. Too little, too late. I looked at her once. Not with rage. Not even with disgust. Just a quiet, surgical detachment. Vivian, I said coldly. Whatever we were, it ends here. I'm done. We're getting a divorce. And then I stood. Buttoned my jacket. And walked out without looking back. Behind me, the room collapsed into confusion and shouting, voices overlapping, someone knocking over a chair, the restaurant manager trying to regain control. But outside? Outside, the night air hit my face like a wave of clarity. Cool. Quiet. Free. For the first time in a long time, I smiled. Not the smile of a man who lost something. But the smile of a man who just took everything back. Back at the apartment, I didn't waste a second. I edited the footage from the hotel confrontation, just enough polish to make it viral ready, but raw enough to sting. I kept my identity out of it. No face. No name. Just the story. Then I uploaded it from a burner account. Caption: Exposed, married woman caught red-handed with her so-called family relative in a hotel room. No fluff. No ambiguity. Just pure fire. And like a spark in dry grass, it spread. Gossip accounts, reaction channels, Reddit drama junkies, they all pounced. Within minutes, the video was reposted across Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Reddit's gossip subs, and even a few messy Facebook groups. The algorithm loved it. Comments rolled in by the hundreds. Someone please drop the full version. Need the uncensored cut, now. This is wild. Who are these people? I didn't care about their motives. I only cared about momentum. And that, I had. The video didn't quite make national Twitter trends, but it was everywhere else. Local circles lit up. The internet's appetite for scandal did the rest. Within just a few hours, it hit over 100,000 views. The comments were brutal. No sympathy. No nuance. Just a wall of digital pitchforks. Everyone had something to say, and none of it was kind. People started recognizing faces. It didn't take long for the names Vivian and Marcus to get attached to the footage. Former gym clients. Old classmates. Even a nosy cousin or two. A few of my friends saw it too. My phone lit up with calls and texts. Is that Vivian? Dude. What the hell is going on? I kept my answers short. No idea what happened. But yeah, we're done. I'm divorcing her. No rage. No bitterness. Just calm closure. The storm was out there now. I didn't need to lift another finger. It was well past midnight when I heard the knock at the door. I opened it to find Vivian's parents, Robert and Elaine, standing there under the porch light, eyes red, faces hollow. Their clothes looked like they'd been thrown on in a rush, but it was the look in their eyes that said everything. Begging. On the edge of breaking. Elaine stepped forward, her voice already cracking. Please, can we talk? Robert, normally the louder of the two, just stood there, shaking slightly, his lips pressed into a desperate line. They looked like they were seconds away from dropping to their knees. But I didn't move. I didn't soften. I stared at them, quiet, unmoved. Because I remembered who they were. The same people who had treated me like an open wallet when I married Vivian. The same in-laws who criticized everything I did, down to the wine I brought to family dinners. Who made it clear I was never quite enough, unless I was paying. I'd stopped visiting their house years ago. There was never warmth there. Only transactions. And now? Now they were here, empty-handed, full of regret, asking for mercy they'd never once extended to me. I let out a short, humorless laugh. Robert. Elaine. You don't need to plead with me. It's over. They didn't answer. I stepped back, folded my arms, and kept my voice level. Vivian broke our vows. That's non-negotiable. The divorce is already in motion. Once it's official, the court will decide what she's entitled to. Not you. Not her. And definitely not me. Elaine started to say something, but I cut her off. As for the debt she's racked up with Marcus, well, you might want to help her figure out how she's going to pay that back. Because it's not my problem anymore. Silence. They both stood there, frozen. Like someone had turned off the gravity around them. It wasn't just panic I saw in their eyes, it was something deeper. Defeat. Robert looked like he'd aged 10 years in a minute. Elaine's lips trembled, but no sound came. And I? I felt nothing. No guilt. No pity. Just peace. That's when the door opened. Vivian stepped inside, and walked straight into a storm. Her parents were on her in seconds. Shouting. Slapping. Shaking with rage. "You filthy whore!" Elaine screamed. "Shameless little parasite!" Robert roared. They struck her across the shoulder, the arm, the side of her head, nothing coordinated, just desperation and fury. Who the hell is Marcus? What kind of daughter turns out like this? We didn't raise you to be this. But she didn't even flinch. After everything she'd been through that week, this was just more noise. Finally, she snapped. Vivian shoved them both away with a violent jerk, her voice raw and reckless. "I like cheating. I love Marcus. He's my lover. He always has been. Now what? You satisfied?" Her parents froze, staring at her like they'd just watched a daughter morph into a stranger. "God," Elaine whispered, "how did we raise someone like you?" Robert looked ready to collapse. But Vivian didn't care. She turned to me next, expression ice cold. Her mascara was smeared, hair messy, blouse wrinkled, but her voice was calm. "I lied to you," she said. "We're done. Let's get the divorce over with." I looked her in the eye and spoke even colder. "Of course we're getting divorced. That's a given." Then I added, evenly. "But Vivian, before this is over, you're paying me back every cent you took. Don't even think about walking away clean." She stiffened. The mask cracked slightly. "I don't have the cash right now," she muttered. "When I get it, you'll have it. Just sign the damn agreement." She pulled a manila envelope from her bag and slapped it on the table. Smart girl, she'd come prepared. I opened it, skimmed it. The terms were clear. She waived any rights to my company shares and assets. She acknowledged the debt. Repayment? To be arranged separately. Fine by me. I grabbed a pen and signed on the line without a second thought. She didn't even wait for a handshake. Vivian turned and walked out the door, leaving her own parents behind without a glance. Didn't say a word to them. Didn't thank them. Didn't apologize. Didn't ask if they had a way home. And me? I just watched her go. Then turned to Robert and Elaine, who were still standing there like crash survivors. I didn't say much. Just held the door open. "This isn't your house," I said. "You can go now." They shuffled out, too stunned to argue. I closed the door behind them and locked it. And for the first time in weeks, maybe months, maybe years, the house was quiet. Utterly, beautifully quiet. The funniest part? Vivian and Marcus actually opened the gym. Right in the middle of the social media storm. Right when their names were being dragged across every comment section from here to Florida. They thought they could own the scandal. Spin it into buzz. Lean into the chaos. What they got instead was a digital execution. The moment the doors opened, they were doxxed. Reddit, Facebook groups, Instagram stories, locals didn't just boycott the gym. They organized. Moms. Former clients. Even HOA Karens with nothing better to do. The neighborhood turned on them. Their name was toxic. Their brand? Untouchable. The landlord, sensing blood in the water, made his move. He offered them $50,000 just to get out of the lease early. And he meant it. Vivian and Marcus practically begged on their knees. They cried. They pleaded. Didn't matter. The damage was done. The PR was radioactive. The landlord wanted them gone. From signing to shutdown, their empire lasted just under 6 weeks. They couldn't even offload the equipment, half the used gym dealers wouldn't take the calls. Said the brand was too messy to touch. And now? They're sitting on $4 million in loans. Zero income. Zero reputation. No lifelines. Just interest rates, missed payments, and a future full of collection calls. And me? I was already out. Clean. Free. When the first payment deadline hit and they defaulted, Daryl gave them a courtesy call. Nothing aggressive. Just a reminder. That alone was enough to send Vivian into a panic. She called me. Frantic. Ethan. Did you do something to the contract? What contract? Don't play dumb with me. The loan contract. You were the guarantor. Why's your name not on it now? Vivian, I said, flat as ice, I have no idea what you're talking about. You tricked me. You knew. You planned everything, didn't you? I paused. Then gave her the same line she gave me once, long ago. I don't know what you're talking about. Goodbye. And I hung up. That same day, I sold the house and moved across the city. Quiet neighborhood. No forwarding address. New number. New keys. Because the one thing I'd learned? A woman like Vivian doesn't go down easy. But me? I wasn't sticking around for her drowning act. I'd already walked off stage. And pulled the curtain down behind me. One thing I was never going to let slide? The money she stole. So I sued her. Straightforward civil case. I presented the records, bank transfers, missing funds, transaction trails from our shared accounts while we were married and living together. The judge didn't take long. He ruled in my favor, acknowledging that Vivian had withdrawn substantial amounts that didn't belong to her. I'd asked for full restitution, but the final judgment landed at $350,000. Not everything I wanted, but it was something. Better than walking away with nothing. But then came the next hurdle. Vivian couldn't pay. She and Marcus were already drowning in loan defaults from their failed gym. Interest piling up. No business. No cash. Just debt and desperation. I considered chasing the money further, collections, liens, but I knew what that would look like, years of legal chess for scraps. So I chose a different path. Vivian's parents still owned a modest house. Paid off. Clean title. I proposed a trade, the full $350,000 judgment, in exchange for the deed. The house for the debt. Legally, it was airtight. Reluctantly, bitterly, Vivian agreed. She signed the property over to me. And then, she packed her aging parents off to a budget-rate eldercare facility on the edge of town. It was bleak. Sterile. Underfunded. And it didn't take long for things to fall apart. Vivian's mother had always been sharp-tongued. Proud. The kind of woman who believed in image above all. But in a place like that, you couldn't hide from the gossip. The other residents, nosy, bored, cruel, never let her forget what her daughter had done. They whispered. They laughed. Sometimes loudly. Sometimes just loud enough for her to hear. The shame was relentless. The jokes, that's the whore's mom, right? Cut like razors. And one morning, someone found her lifeless in the rec room bathroom. An overdose. Ruled a suicide. Vivian's father unraveled almost immediately. He'd lost his wife, his house, his dignity, and now the last shred of order he had left. When another resident made a snide remark about his daughter's latest video, something inside him snapped. Witnesses said he dragged the man into the bathroom and locked the door. When staff broke it open, it was too late. The other resident was dead. Vivian's father was arrested on the spot, charged with murder. His lawyers called it temporary insanity. But the court didn't buy it. Now he faces a long sentence. Probably won't live to see the end of it. Vivian, once the center of attention, once so sure of her control, is alone. Legally. Emotionally. Entirely. She is, in every sense, an orphan. And me? I watch it all from a distance. Not gloating. Not celebrating. Just, watching. I never wanted it to end this way. Not truly. Not this far. But when you set a fire, you don't get to control how much it burns. But that wasn't even the worst of it. The real nightmare was the debt. Compound interest, merciless, relentless. The kind that eats you alive if you don't have serious cash flow. And they had none. Word got around. Vivian, desperate to patch the black hole of debt, had crossed a line, entered the gray zone, maybe darker. No one knew exactly what she was doing. Escorting? Trafficking pills? Just rumors. But 2 weeks later, she was found half dead in an alley off Sunset Boulevard. Multiple fractures. Facial trauma. Knife wounds. Signs of a violent struggle. The cops launched an investigation. Didn't take long before all eyes turned to Marcus. And not long after that, they cuffed him. Because I was still listed as Vivian's ex-husband, I got a call. They asked me to come down and answer a few questions, help fill in some gaps. And that's how I ended up in the county jail, face to face with Marcus. The same guy who once strutted around shirtless at his gym, flexing for Instagram, now just skin and bones, hunched over in a plastic chair, eyes sunken, hands trembling. I handed him a cigarette. "Man," I said, "what the hell happened to you?" He let out this hollow, humorless laugh. Said he'd tried to make fast money. Tried the escort scene. Male companionship, he called it, like he still wanted to preserve some dignity. But the industry chewed him up. It wasn't just sex, it was power games, predators, drugs. He got hooked on something hard, got blackmailed, got robbed. All the money gone. And somewhere in that spiral, he snapped. He said Vivian was the reason for everything, his ruined rep, his debts, his addiction. She wrecked my whole life, he muttered. So I wanted her to feel it too. That was his logic. That's why she ended up bleeding in that alley. I listened to the whole thing, nodding slowly. Then I looked him dead in the eye and said, "Marcus, that's actually pretty impressive." He blinked. I smiled. "No joke. You had the balls to finish it. Not many men do." Because me? I like justice. And sometimes, justice needs to wear gloves.